Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Mindset Check podcast. I'm your host, Misha McKittrick. This is a podcast where we believe that as you take time for a mindset check, as you take time to think about life, you have more power than you think you do. And where we also believe that you have the ability to organize your energy and that as you do so, you change your life for the better. As a reminder, we are in season 3 of the Mindset Check podcast. And in this season, we're talking about our internal state and the power that we have to create a state inside of us that allows us to live a life of joy and expansion. We talk about frequencies, vibrations, thoughts, and emotions, and all of these things that we can check into and simply by having a conversation about, it allows more awareness into our mind, into our heart, into our life, and then we're able to effectively make a huge difference in our lives. I'm so grateful that you're here today. I hope that your summer is feeling rich and amazing. Mine feels extremely warm. In good ways, though. I actually hurt my back doing one of the most simple things. Okay, I was lifting weights, but you'll die when I tell you that I had 5-pound weights in my hands. And my father-in-law has, he's a chiropractor and he's like one of the best. And he has prescribed me to be getting in the pool, every day. Even though I don't get in the pool every single day, it's close to every day. And so I'm swimming a lot for my workouts and to try to relieve that pressure in my spine. And then after I swim, I wash my hair, I shower off, and then I sit in the sun for a little bit. And this has been feeling so good. Who knows if it's something that I will do all of the time, but it's just a fun little shift in my routine that isn't normal for me, but it's still accomplishing the things that my routine usually does. I go sit in the sun and then I meditate while my hair dries, and then I go home and I'm showered and my hair is pretty much dry and ready. I still do some things to it. But anyway, I just wanted to share that because it's so fun to think about the ways that we can do life a little bit different, but get so much from what we're doing different just because we are in awareness and then in appreciation, right? I hope that you too are experiencing something in your summer that you're able to appreciate, even if it's normal and regular, I hope that you're finding deep appreciation as you are moving through. That is what brings awareness actually into our mind. It helps us turn on the lights upstairs, if you know what I mean. And today we're also talking about a really cool concept around turning the lights on upstairs, right? If you will. So let's jump in. Today we're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about how we can manipulate and organize energy to allow ease into our life and really so much more, right? Expansion and just all kinds of things. Let's get into this. So energy, as a definition, is the capacity for work or vigorous activity. Okay, starting to share some of these definitions with you to get your brain percolating. Energy is also defined as the exertion of vigor or power and vitality and intensity of expression, right? Energy. They have incredible energy, right? Vitality, or, the uppity in their step, the get up, the excitement, that kind of a thing, right? So what's interesting about energy is that it can neither be created or destroyed, but it can be transformed. Okay, you can change energy from one form to another. That's what they're talking about when, the conversation about the first law of thermodynamics, if you've ever heard that. So energy can neither be created or destroyed. Think about when you switch on a light bulb and suddenly you change electrical energy to thermal energy and light energy. okay? Or a car takes gas, and in the engine, it changes chemical bonds into light, sound, thermal, kinetic energy, right? The ability to move. Plants, they go through something called photosynthesis, right? And this is the process that the plant goes through to change one form of energy into another, right? Radiant into chemical. That's how they produce the glucose and the oxygen. So it's like all the stuff that we learn in school, but it's really cool to like put it in perspective in the thought of how we can change energy in our lives. When animals, humans, when we eat something, we change chemicals or glucose into thermal energy and mechanical energy so that we can have motion, right? And be warm. It's incredible to think about the way that energy can be altered. That, in other words, we can put it on a path towards something else. We can harness it and then send it out as something else. It's like the way that solar energy works, right? They harness the power from the sun and they send it out as electrical or power, right? That can be supplied to our homes. Like, wow, how cool. So when we think about these principles on this bigger scale, I think it helps us to understand that we have the power to do the same thing with the energy that we have accessible to us in the field around us. We can actually organize energy or even redirect energy, right, and have it change as simply as we can when you would organize iron filings on Woolly Willy. Okay, do you remember that little game where you remember it was the drawing of a man's face and then there was all of these iron filings inside of this little plastic part that went over his face, and then you would use a magnet and you would drag the iron filings to make like a mustache or hair on his bald head or into a bow tie, whatever it is that maybe you put freckles all over his face. I have no idea. But think about it. Okay, let's get into the being present like Bob Ross. If you want a bow tie, all you do is pick up the magnet and drag over beautiful little iron filings. That's it. That's how you do it, right? Channeling that inner Bob Ross. So like, let's make him a mustache. Just drag it over, right? And in that same way, we organize the energy in our lives. There's a lot of things that we do actually that can strip us of energy, and it leaves us, in a sense, I don't want to say powerless, but like I guess it is, right? Energy is power. So it leaves us in this sense of we don't have enough energy, we don't have enough power to be able to participate in a conversation like this, in a conversation to where we can start to learn how we get to organize energy in our life, right? Sometimes when we participate in things that drain us, that drain our mind, they cause us to be caught up in negative emotions and we become irritable, and those are types of things, right, that drain us from energy. And there's obvious things that lead to that, like skipping breakfast or failing to express appreciation or struggling to focus on one thing at a time or spending too little time on activities that give us a sense of purpose. Those are things that can absolutely strip us of energy. So it's really an interesting conversation to get into around the way we spend energy. And the way that we spend energy somehow dictates what we have left to give towards organizing energy. But once we can get to a point where we have enough energy to focus on organizing our energy, then we get to build systems or rituals in place that feed us, right? Maybe you volunteer every single week at, big brother, big sister, and that actually feeds you because you're serving and doing something, and that's a ritual because it's built into your week, right? Maybe you go to church and you feed yourself. Maybe you take care of like the dailies, the things that no one else can do but you, right? Those ritual things that are like going to the gym and meditation and journaling and kind of whatever is on your daily checklist of things that fuel you, that give you that energy. But notice how when we take care of ourselves and when we mold and we shape those parts of our life, what we do is we have the attention and the energy to start focusing on this deeper, this bigger thing that we can do, this bigger thing, which is really so simple, but we have to have the energy to be able to do it. You have to have the energy to pick up that little magnet, that little magnetic pin, red with the ridges around it, to be able to drag the iron filings into place. We have to have energy to be able to do those things. Okay, so what's interesting is that if we take the time, once we have the energy, to pause and evaluate, to take a mindset check, right? So that's all of the taking this time right now to just pause and evaluate what's happening in life and how much energy, you have to be able to put towards something greater. Because when you feel worn down in life, physically, mentally, right, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting into creating or playing with the field of the law of attraction. Okay? If you're stuck in the battle of winning the energy game in the physical and emotional sense of the way, it's really a lot more difficult to put yourself into organizing energy. Okay? So the ways that we organize energy without even knowing it, especially when we're drained, okay, when we're feeling worn down in life, is we have certain thoughts, we have certain feelings, we have certain words that we say out loud. We have stories that we tell ourselves about whatever it is that's happening. And P.S., we've learned about the snowball effect before, right? You experience one thought, and then within 17 seconds, you're thinking another thought on the same wavelength, okay, or vibrational space. In other words, if you're thinking something negative, within 17 seconds, you're going to think something negative again. That's totally different, unrelated maybe in a different category. And it's just this snowball that keeps going and going and going. And so what I'm trying to really get to the bottom of is that the things that you think, the things that you say, and the things that you feel are essentially tomorrow's order form. Okay, so let's break into this for just a second. If you have ever worked at a diner or a restaurant or a drive-through, you'll know what it means to sit there with like a little pad in front of you, like a little piece of paper. That was like in my day. A lot of times I think people might associate that with a device in their hands, like more nowadays, right? But if you wrote something on it and you said like, okay, this customer wants a chicken sandwich and a Diet Coke and whatever it is, right? And you put that order slip into that little clip at the kitchen, you know what I'm talking about? And they swing it around and they make what's on the order form. And that's what the customer gets. Okay? Yeah. I mean, there's times where it gets messed up, but the bottom line is basically what we order is what comes back from the kitchen. Okay? So in the same way, when we create without being conscious of it, we're creating with the stories that we tell ourselves, the description of our thoughts, the words we say out loud, the feelings. And that's like us saying, we're going to get that same thing tomorrow. So if you were to sit and just write all of the things, the predominant things that you have thought and said and felt in the last 24 hours. And then if I were to tell you, you're going to get that same thing tomorrow. Is that what you want on your order form? Is that what you want? And just allow yourself to really ponder that and think about it. To change what we're going to get back from the kitchen, we have to write something down on the order form for tomorrow that's different. So maybe you want a chicken salad instead of the chicken sandwich, right? We got to write something different down. So in other words, we get to create a different feeling inside of us by doing this process, right? We got to create different thoughts and different things that we say. And by becoming aware and becoming conscious of this and things like this, right? When we start to run negative thoughts, if we drop into breath and we breathe for 5 seconds in and 6 seconds out, all of a sudden you can change something. If you learn how to tell a different story about the events in your life, like you start to tell the story in the most hopeful way possible versus kind of being stripped and influx of negativity. Like try to see it for the best possible spin that you can. If you're trying to cultivate positive emotions, right, through doing that. If you are genuinely trying to express appreciation, these are all things that can alter or change the energy of what we are writing down on this order form that causes what we get tomorrow. But when we unknowingly create this energy, right, we're cultivating and creating this energy without knowing. So sometimes it really takes you getting out of the way. And I think that part of what builds a wall from us being able to see what's actually happening is our ego. Because there's part of us that has to start to admit, like, oh my gosh, I don't like what I'm getting in life. I don't like this result. So then it's like we'll trace back to the thoughts, the feelings, and the words that you're saying. What is on repeat? Because you do know that we think around 80,000 thoughts every single day, and around 90% of those are repeated on a daily basis, unless we get inside to take like these mindset checks, right? So it's really, really fun to like actually take it apart and think about it, because also it helps you take down your defenses, which are part of our ego that get in the way of saying, well, that has nothing to do with what I'm thinking. I'm not wrong. Well, no one's saying that you're wrong. Oh, I hope that like kind of resonates for you. I hope that resonates for you, because ultimately what we get to do is when we decide to organize our energy, when we say different things, when we think different things, when we feel different things, we're writing something down that's different on our order form. Tomorrow we're going to get something different. And all of a sudden you're going to start to see that the energy in your life is just different. Everything's different. The way that you feel, it's so much easier to step into giving people the benefit of the doubt. It's so much easier to step into, the theory of let them, or, I don't know if you know that theory by Mel Robbins, but the idea to just allow people to make the choices that they make. Sometimes we get in that and we try to fix that and figure that out and all this stuff, and it's so much more powerful to love. Easier. No, I don't know. I think when we shift and organize that energy, it's not necessarily easier said than done, because it's overflowing inside of us. And when we have a different type of energy in our life, it's like converted energy now exists inside of us. We have more to give. We have more to love. We have more to, quite honestly, we have more good that we're putting out. And it takes less effort on our part to make life happen and to, figure it all out and to solve all the problems and all of this stuff. It just works out for you because you're emanating this good and amazing feeling. You're emanating something there. And that's what's coming back to you. And it's making your life easier. So there's this bird called the albatross, okay? And the albatross can actually travel vast distances across the ocean with minimal effort. This is how. They use wind currents and their long wings to glide effortlessly, okay, for hours. It's like they're leaning back in a lawn chair. They're just spreading out their wings and gliding for hours and hours. And they're just making time, and they're just living life. And I hope that you can envision you harnessing power like that, leveraging natural forces, the energy that is in your life. And even if you have to transform that energy, right? If it comes to you in a negative way and you love it and you let it and you do whatever it is to manipulate that energy and to lift it into a higher state, into a better vibration. And when you learn how to change the energy and you learn how to really, like for me, it's ultimately like I love what happens in heart coherence, and we talk about that a lot here. We create that energy in our heart, and it just is overflowing from us. And it changes how life goes. It makes it easier. We work smarter, not harder. We harness all of these resources and opportunities around us. We put in a different order form for tomorrow. We submit it to the kitchen, right? And we get something different back from us. And so I would say, ultimately, for me, there's a lot of different ways that you can transform energy, that you can take what you're experiencing right now and that you can do something different. I think that my favorite way is heart coherence. And there's so many reasons why. The heart feeds the brain the thoughts. And if that's the case, if we can create a good feeling, then we're going to think a good thought. But becoming aware of what we're even thinking is really the first step. The very, very first step. And then I would say, for me, the most important steps after that are like this meditation, heart coherence. But you can change energy in multiple ways. So many beautiful ways. Sit down and write about everything that you're grateful for in your journal. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Learn how to do different things like that. And it helps change the chemistry inside of you. And it helps change the patterns in your brain. So I hope that today was just a little bit of a check-in for you to evaluate what it is that you're writing down on the paper. Because it doesn't matter if you are trying to change, tomorrow's order form from I have the worst relationship ever, I hate my spouse, and you're trying to change it into I at least like my spouse, or if you're trying to change it into I have a productive and enjoyable life into I have a fun life. I have excitement, right? Or whatever it is that you want to change, you get to change. You get to change that energy as it comes to you. And you decide. You figure out your thoughts. You figure out your feelings. And that propels everything. So great. Be an albatross. I hope that you can see that through organizing your energy, you have more power than you think you do. I hope you love that episode. Please make sure to subscribe and rate and review the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. As we leave, I want to share with you two quotes. Okay? This conversation is so juicy for me. I love it. The first one says, "It takes the same amount of energy to worry as it does to be positive. Use your energy to think positive, and positive things will happen. That quote is by Joel Osteen. The next quote is by Nitin Namdeo. The more positive energy you throw into the universe, the more positive energy it gives you back. So really pay attention in the next, week or whatever of your life to really make sure that you're being mindful about the energy that you keep. It will change your life. Until next time, my friend.